Hello everyone, it's the 6th of July and it's time for another little look around the plot. This morning we've had loads of rain, which was much needed, and I'm happy because it means I don't have to water for a week or two, although I think next week we're going to get temperatures back up to 30 degrees, so I probably will have to do a bit next week. We've had a crazily dry spring and early summer. I've been watering twice a week, and even that's probably not been enough. Let's have a look around, see what's growing well and what's not growing well. Okay, this is bed one, where we've got leeks growing now. I did have garlic growing in here. I've harvested all that. I was a bit slightly disappointed with the size of the garlic. I thought because of all the warm weather that maybe they'd be a bit bigger this year than last year when it was really rainy and cloudy for months. But maybe it's just been too dry this year, I'm not sure. Anyway, I've replaced everything in the bed now, mostly leeks. Ideally I wouldn't put leeks in here because I did find a bit of white rot on a couple of garlic. But unfortunately my plot size is tiny. It's only like 62 square metres, so crop rotation's a bit difficult. But I just have to see what happens. Hopefully it won't affect too many of the leeks. I will cover these leeks in a couple of, maybe next month or something. I did notice a couple of allium leaf miner grubs on the garlic, so I will need to cover this. Down in this corner we've got a couple of parsnips that look okay. I'm sure they'll have appreciated the rain that we've had this morning. This is a Gretti which we harvested and I ate some the other day with some salmon. That's quite nice. It's not meant to be salty, but I'm guessing because it would normally grow along the coast, and where the soil's a bit salty, or I'm not sure. So but yeah, it was nice. And here in bed two we've got some nice cauliflowers there ready to pick. I've already picked one cauliflower. It's a purple variety called Graffiti. A lovely deep purple colour, and I think there's another one there, but it's not seem to be hearting up like the other one. But I don't mind because, you know, I've got 3 ready at once, which is too many. I did have some calabrese in here which I've harvested, so they'll grow little side shoots now. And there's I believe there's if you can just see it there, kohlrabi there. We've been having some nice kohlrabi coleslaw. I'm tempted, rather than waiting for these to produce side shoots, to just take them out, the calabrese, because I kind of need this bed for other things, so I might do that next week. But that bed's been pretty good. I know a lot of people have had problems with brassicas just because of the dry weather, but I think maybe because it's right next to the shed it gets a little bit of shade, and also I've made sure I've watered it well. So, and down the end here we've got some shallots which are bulbing up, and some parsley which doesn't look that good, but that's alright. Generally good bed. And the brassicas in bed 3 are looking pretty healthy. You can see the rain droplets there. It's quite nice. These are got 2 Savoy cabbages there, which probably should be ready next week, I guess. Lots of kale, and they are colettes there, which at some point I'm going to need to get in there and stake them. I've not had any problems with whitefly or anything like that. Butterflies haven't been able to get in here by the looks of things. Everything's growing quite well in there. Quite happy with that. This is the onion bed number 4. Last time I did a plot tour, these were looking perfect, but they're starting to lose leaves now. Still look alright, but did have a little patch of where I've had to pull a few out, and there's a couple there that need pulling out. I think there's a bit of white rot there, but again I've got the problem with crop rotation on such a small plot. It's difficult, but I'm not complaining about the size. This is Varieties Exhibition. They're big. I planted a few there, you know, in groups of 2s and 3s, so they're a good size for when you need a smaller onion. Yeah, but generally quite happy with that. I'll probably harvest these at similar time to last year, I imagine. Last year I had a problem with downy mildew, so I had to harvest a couple of weeks early. This year I'm guessing hot weather will start drying them out a bit early, but the size is good, so I'm quite happy. Next to the onion bed here, got a couple of carrots. These were my early carrots, which I sowed in March, I think. They're probably ready to pick. I'll have to have a look and see what the size is. And at the back there is one of the main crop potatoes. And in bed number 5, I've got this is the mixed bed where I've got shallots growing. They're doing alright, not as many as I would have liked. Ended up with a few gaps where I put a couple of lettuce. Beetroot, these need harvesting really. You can see the size of some of them, pretty big. But I've still got some left from the first harvest at home. And then tomatoes growing here. These are Cherokee Purple. It'll be a month before they ripen, I think. And this is a Uchiki Curie squash down the front there. Just along the side of bed 5 here is the competition onions, and they're looking massive. The size of that, I can't believe how well they've grown. The compost I use is just a mix of bagged compost and homemade compost with some bloodfish and bone and chicken manure pellets, and they're in a 14 litre bucket, but all 4 looking massive. I think last year we got the largest was 1.2 kilos, and I reckon, just guessing looking at these, that they're all going to be over a kilo. That's what the warm weather's done, and I've kept them nicely, soil nicely moist, so they're looking good. Meanwhile, the competition potatoes have not been doing very well. Pretty disappointed really. A couple of weeks ago they just started dying off. I'm not sure why. Maybe I've just not, I thought I was watering them plenty, but the dry weather containers dry out really quickly. I did top up the containers with more soil because there was a potato poking out the top there, but yeah, the plants don't look healthy. I don't know if they're still going to be putting size onto the tubers and underneath. I might have to harvest these early. You know, they only got to about 70 days when they started sort of dying off, and really they want to be in the ground for about 100 days, in the pots for 100 days to get to any decent size, but you never know. And as it's a competition, doesn't matter if the harvest's small, you can still win. I'm expecting them all to be quite small though. We'll have to wait and see. I'm going to leave them for now. As soon as there's, look, that looks like quite nice new growth there on Bivouac Chihuahua. Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's have a look under the archway. There's a lot going on here. lavender's kind of finished now. I'm sure the bees have enjoyed that. And on this side of the arches we've got Greek gigantes climbing up. I've reached the top of the arch now. There's a lot of flowers there, and even a small pod there. These are a kind of runner bean, but you don't eat the beans like that, the green beans. You eat the seeds inside, and they grow really big apparently. So hopefully we'll get a decent amount of those down in the bed. I've planted a load more beetroot seedlings. There's a spare lettuce that we had there, and then down the end sweet peas. The stems are getting really short now. I've picked quite a lot. There's only 3 plants in here. We had spare 3 plants, but they've been really productive, just those 3 plants. Yeah, but I'll probably just leave them now. I'm getting a bit sick of picking them. Just leave them and collect seeds. There's a few seed pods growing. Over on this side there's more beetroot growing there. I'm not sure if there'll be enough light for them with the French beans there that I've got behind. These were just a few spare plants that we had. And then behind that we've got a Jack Little pumpkin that's growing alright, and 2 crystal lemon cucumbers. I need to remove some offshoots from there and probably tie them in, so I'll do that after I've finished filming. And down the end here, this is a Bianca di Trieste courgette. It's like they produce like very pale green courgettes, but I thought the taste was really, really sweet, really nice. I did grow them last year, but I didn't get that many. And then down here, this is Black Beauty courgette. I need to pick in now. You know, I've grown too many courgette plants, as many people do. I've got about 5 in the fridge at home already. But I've got, you know, this plant, all courgettes. And just next to those courgettes, there's a couple of squash plants. This is Uchiki Curry, which seems to be taking off really well. And this one is Sweet Dumpling, which is, I think they only produce small fruits. I've not grown this variety before, so that's probably doing okay too. This is just a little spare patch of ground that I put these in. Didn't really have anywhere else to plant them, so I just created a little space there. French beans is my favourite veg, so I've been a bit worried about these beans because I did some early sowings here and they started to climb the canes and they just collapsed. But they seem to have started climbing the canes again, but it means they won't get. I've had a few that I picked, they're just stuff around the ground, but I'm not going to get that many early, and I'm going to have to wait another few weeks for any more, I think. On this side we planted a later sowing there. We've been doing okay, but we had a problem with the mole and it looks like he's tried digging it up again. Bit of a nightmare really. Down the front a few lettuce, they look okay. It's been so dry we've had virtually no slugs, so lettuce has been growing well. Down the end here I just put a couple of spare ones in a pot. They didn't grow very well in a pot last year, but I think I'd maybe had too many. Next year I think what I'll do is, rather than try to get a succession of climbing beans, I'll just plant some early dwarf beans and then do the whole lot of these canes as climbing beans a bit later. I think that is more sensible. And just next to the climbing beans at the back of the plot is the corn, which I think looking really good. I did a windbreak because it's been really windy this summer. It's windy at the moment. Yeah, despite being really hot, I don't know, for some reason we're having a lot of wind. You're probably picking that up on camera. There's 25 plants in here, which might be a bit too much. That's what I did last year, but the variety I grew last year was called Swift, and this variety is called Incredible, which I think grows taller. so might be a bit overcrowded here. I might have to see about adding fertiliser to the bed if they start looking a bit yellow or anything like that. But at the moment they're looking really healthy, I think, so quite happy with that. And just near the corn bed is got some sunflowers growing. These are multi-headed, so that should be nice. This one's not doing as well, but I'm sure it'll catch up. Around here, this is a Crown Prince winter squash, which is not doing very well. I know you're not really meant to. Sunflowers are known for restricting other plants, but I didn't really have anywhere else to put it. But yeah, it's not doing very well. But maybe with all the rain it will sort of pick up a bit of growth. It's not a very good patch of soil really. I needed to prepare it a bit better. Well, let's just see how it goes. And again, at the back of the plot is the fruit corner. We've harvested all the blackcurrants and made some lovely blackcurrant jam. There's a few left, I've just left for the birds. I've taken the netting off these now because it doesn't need it. But the gooseberries are still netted. This variety, I think it's Hinomaki, and they've now all turned red and they need to be harvested really. And at the back there, Invicta, they're meant to be slightly later, but I need to check to see, because of the warm weather. The blackcurrants were ready 2 weeks earlier than, at least, earlier than, you know, they're meant to be. So I'm guessing the same is going to apply to the gooseberries. Yeah, so I need to check. Looking forward to having a gooseberry full with those red gooseberries. I didn't notice these earlier. These are the Bianca di Trieste courgettes. You can see how pale the colour is. I'd have watching a video saying that it's best to pick them when they're really small, because I think they maybe get seeds inside when they get bigger. But I was really impressed with the taste. Really sweet, really nice. And here in the carrot box, things looking okay. What I've noticed is on this side, the variety here is called Sweet Candle, and they're growing much faster than this side. The variety is called Eskimo, so that might change what I do next year. I might just do the whole bed as Sweet Candle, but I do think Eskimo probably taste a bit nicer. They're a lovely sort of dark orange carrot, so we'll see what happens. I might just keep it the same and do half and half. I did have some black Spanish salsify seeds that I was sown in the middle, but unfortunately nothing came up. So what I did was sowed some more carrots in there, but I think it's probably, you can just see a seedling there. It's probably a bit too late. There won't be enough light. All the other carrots tops will block out too much light, so they won't grow. Never mind. Generally that looks nice in there. Should get some decent carrots, especially with all the warm weather. Well, this is the shed bed, looking rather messy. As we've been harvesting some of the first earlies, I'm moving the pots around. They're all neatly lined up. They've got a bit messed up. The first earlies we've had is a variety called Caledonian Pearl, and I thought they were absolutely gorgeous. Really fresh, really clean, thin-skinned. Probably the nicest new potatoes I've tasted, I think. Certainly the nicest I've grown. Yeah, these look alright. Not 100% healthy, but they'll still be growing. There's a couple of first earlies there, and then the rest are main crops. And there's some parsnips there which I should have probably lifted off the ground, but hopefully the carrot root fly haven't got to them. What I'm thinking of doing here is clearing the space and putting some containers with cucumbers. I've got a few spare cucumber plants still at home. They're quite big plants, but I might put something that they can sort of grow up just to keep them off the floor. And there's sunflowers down here. Not very big, but they're nice. Just noticed there's a ripe fig here. This fig tree was here when we got the plot. No idea what kind of variety it is, and I suspect it might just be something that was seeded itself. I'm not sure. But last year tasting it, I wasn't that impressed with it. I might give these another go. Maybe the warmer weather means they're going to taste a bit nicer. We'll see. Well, I think that's about everything. Generally pretty happy with how everything's growing. Been happy about this rain we've just had. Need to get on and do a bit of weeding though, because as you can see the paths are getting quite weedy. That'll be a job I need to spend a couple of hours on this week if I can. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.